Hi there, guys. Um, I wanted to come make this particular video. Just had some things on my heart, and kind of wanted to talk about my faith. Um, it has been, it's been a journey to get me to this place in my life. Um, I'll just kind of start from the beginning. I grew up um, Church of Christ. Um, my family is pretty, I mean, like most of us black people, especially from the South, um, religious, grew up in church, it's where the beginnings and everything are and were. Um, my great grandfather was Reverend John Anderson, uh, a minister all his life. I never met him, but a minister all his life. I have pictures of him. Uh, and he had a church. Our family is from Huntsville, Texas. And if I'm not mistaken, that's like in Walker County or something. And that's where his church was. I've really tried to get a lot of that history. I really have. Like, I am so very interested in our family's history and where we come from, the beginnings and everything. And over the years, I've tried to collect, what I can, old pictures, old photos, things like that. It just, a lot of people in our family and like a lot of, especially the younger generation stuff, really not that interested, you know. So I've had to like really search out and seek out and, talk to a lot of the older members in the family who knew them and everything. Uh, but getting on with it, because I don't want to make this real long. So okay, and then my family moved to Houston from there. Not really sure when. I'm thinking like in the 50s or something like that. Uh, and continued, um, continued with the Church of Christ faith. Many of the older members of my family are still Church of Christ. Now, my experience and everything with Church of Christ, like I didn't like I wasn't raised to where, and I'm sorry, I was eating some ice cream, so it's kind of in my throat a little bit. But a lot of the older members in my family are still Church of Christ. Some have, some of the younger members and things like that. The kids have, gone on to Baptists and things like that. Um, my experience with Church of Christ, I love the music. I love the songs. I have so many of those old hymns that are in my heart and in my mind because of the Church of Christ. The songs and the singing was just so beautiful. There's no instruments, kind of like Catholic or whatever. There's no instruments in Church of Christ. It's just the people, just the music, just not the music, but the music of the voice, just the voices and harmony. And so, but the thing about it for me, I remember being an older teenager, and I didn't go to church all the time. Like, my mom wasn't really one, and it's not that she didn't believe, she grew up the same way, but she wasn't really one to just get up every Sunday and take us all to church. It just didn't happen. Um, she was battling some issues and things like that in her personal life. And I don't really know the whole reason why she didn't, but I know she had her faith. I don't know why she didn't. uh but my thing with the Church of Christ was that I didn't understand, I didn't see why women um really didn't do anything in church. It was all men. um the men were the ushers, the men collected the money, the men did communion, the men did a lot of the teaching and things like that. Um, and so, women just kind of sat down and just, really didn't do anything. And I always wondered about that. It kind of bothered me the older I got as a teenager. Um, and so the first time I stepped out of my church was I went to in my neighborhood. I went to a sanctified church, Holy Ghost filled church, and I'm just gonna be honest, it scared the living daylights out of me. It really did, because here I am in Church of Christ, where we just sit and we just sing, and everything's nice and clean. And I mean, we had a beautiful church. We had a big, big, beautiful church. Uh, big, beautiful church. And this was a little small wooden house type church, you know. And, people were, like standing up and singing and all of which we really didn't do that either in Church of Christ. We, it was really, like I say, a lot like Catholic. We just kind of sat. And they had music, they had drums and things like that. And people were, they were singing the songs and everything, and it was just fun and exciting and everything. And next thing I know, this man from the front row tore out and started running around the church, and he's just a running and he's just running. I did not. I'm like, I'm just standing there, and uh other people just hollering and screaming, and just it was a lot. It was a whole lot, because I didn't know, I didn't understand, I wasn't expecting that. Like, what the heck is he running for? Like, what, what's going on? Don't know if I went back there. Um, and it's not that even it was anything wrong with the church. I just, and I don't know how my auntie found out. I had one of my mama had one, two, three, four sisters that I know of. Five, something like that, sisters. My Aunt Lois was she was something else. She passed a couple years ago now. That was like my last aunt. And I remember she called me when I had went to that church, and I'm serious. Like, I don't even know how she knew I went. Seriously. Um, and this she just basically really just got on me. Um, we don't know those people. That's not our faith. What are you going over there for? You should be ashamed of yourself, and blah blah blah, and just all of that. So I got read the riot act respectfully. So, but then years went on, and I didn't really ever go back to Church of Christ per se. But I went to like other Baptist churches and things like that. And once I moved to New Orleans um, with my first husband, we went to New Orleans, lived in New Orleans for 10 years. Um, over in Algiers, is where we lived across the river. But I went to a church across the other side of the river. It was on Second Street, little old small church. I don't even know if it's still there. Uh, the way Katrina hit, I'm probably gonna say it's probably not, because it once again was a little small, little like house church, like very very small. I mean, like we had 10 people on a good day, like seriously. um, but that church was called Jesus Christ the Rock Evangelistic Church with Apostle Charles J. Wright and Minister Sheila Wright. That was his wife. They may still be ministering. I don't even know. I don't even know. They may still be ministering. But anyway, at that church, is where I got basically called to ministry or whatever, and ministered there. Was in ministry. You know, I have a lot of respect for that church and for the Drights. You know, they were good people. Sister Sheila, his wife, she was stern, she was hard nosed, and she was in your face. But she taught us a lot. She really did. She taught us a whole lot. Uh, and anyway, that's where I got called to ministry at. We did a whole lot of, you know, just like local feeding the homeless. We did just going out, I mean, just straight knocking on doors. It wasn't even, you know, it wasn't no Jehovah's Witness or nothing. But we went and knocked doors and we prayed for people. And my goodness, I mean, like I seriously could tell you some straight miracles that I saw. Um, straight miracles that I saw. Um, we did a lot of traveling, you know, being on the ministry team. Did a lot of traveling with the minister, me and a couple of other ladies um, that were ministers as well. Went to Benny Hinn's crusade. We man just traveled all around, just going to different churches and things like that, you know. And I was very very active. I was very active. Like I did some, you know, ministering and stuff on my own. I did some ministering just in other churches where I was called to minister and everything. Uh was a youth director for many many years. I worked with mostly the teenagers. Honestly, I worked with the teenagers, but I was like the whole youth director of the whole thing. Um, went to other churches when I came back to when I went back to Houston. Um, did more ministering and things like that. Um, long story short, because I ain't gonna really get into all of it, because you know, coming back to Houston was actually a whole story that actually kind of plays a big part in my life or whatever, and in my faith. Uh, but I'm just gonna say, long story short, and y'all forgive me. I'm having a hot flash. Um, so I stepped down from ministry at the church that I joined once I came back to Houston. Once I went back to Houston, church was in Acres Homes. Everybody knows anything about Houston. Acres Homes is the oldest black community in Houston. And there was a church. Won't go into that. Won't go into that at all. But long story short, I stepped down from ministry in that church. Uh, and I was still, you know, I didn't step away from God. Like that's the whole thing, you know. Even though I stepped down from ministry, it was more of a thing of self-reflecting and just like a lot of stuff that was going on in that church. And I'm like, you know, is it me or is, you know, my, you know. So anyway, a little bit after that, after I was kind of not really in the church as much, um, because just to sum it up, I had a real bad hurt. I had a real bad hurt in that church, in that ministry. Uh, And that's not really what led to the stepping down, but it all kind of like, how do you say it? It all kind of like went together, you know. So I met my last husband uh, at that church. No, I did not meet him at that church. I met him when I was out of that and out of ministry and things like that, you know. And this, he was into alchemy. He used to talk about alchemy. He never would tell me really what it was or what it's about, whatever, you know, and I used to ask him and everything. He had gone, taken some college courses where he had studied religion. So he actually had studied like a lot of stuff and everything. And um, I was still of the persuasion, you know, after, you know, from learning, you know, even from the, you know, being in ministry and the rights and everything. And I remember, you know, Sister Sheila, used to always be talking about, not exploring, not getting into other stuff and not, going off into other religions and all this kind of stuff and how to mess you up and confuse you and all these things. Um, but he, you know, and I'm gonna say he really had a fight with me. And I'm serious because, you know, he really was not a believer. And I wasn't trying to make him one. He was trying to not make me one. You know, he was questioning my faith and questioning this and why that, you know. And it's real crazy because he actually, when we started back going to church or whatever, like he would go with me. Like he would, yeah, I mean, it was crazy. Like he was a little confused or something. I don't know. But he was the one that kind of got me into kind of questioning my faith, questioning the Bible and stuff like that, because he would ask me these questions and things like this, or what about this, or what about that, you know. And I'm gonna tell you, I was so deep into the word. I had taken so many theology courses, front, back, you know. Of course, I was more into New Testament, but I knew quite a bit of Old Testament. I knew the word like that, like for real. Like I could spew it, you know. And everywhere he went with me, I had a scripture for him, you know. So he really had a fight with me. Um, but then he started showing me videos. You know, he started showing me stuff and asking me stuff like, well, if Jesus did this, then how can such and such happen? And how did, you know, he started, I guess, maybe talking to me like logically, which you can't go at the Bible or go at God or faith or any of that with logic, with your brain cells or whatever, because it's not going to make any sense, you know? Uh, it really, it really is a faith walk, and it's a walk of, in my opinion, experience, you know, just experiences, you know, and how, uh, you know, your personal relationship with God, or what have you. So, um, anyway, um, that began to happen, and he really, you know, like it finally kind of broke to where I did start like questioning things and things like that. And, you know, and then between that and the hurt that I had from that church and that ministry, and those people, you know, I was really hurt because the thing that happened, I kept wondering, well, if you're a man of God, if you all are people of God, you all would see my heart and my sincerity, and you all would know that I really didn't do what I was accused of, you know, because I got accused. I'm not going to go into this, but I got accused by a longtime member. Apparently, she had grown up in that church, and I got accused of something that was not true. Like I was absolutely in the right. What I told or what I said was, not even any kind of like a real big deal, but it would have made them look bad if, um, because they actually tried to lie about it, but, and I guess long story short, the pastor believed them because he knew them longer and things like that. And more long story short, once the truth and everything came out, um, they issued an apology and things because these people put me out of the church. That was the hurt. They put me out of the church behind the lie, and yeah, it hurt. Oh man, it hurt so bad, and it didn't crush my faith in God or anything, but it really kind of it crushed my faith in like ministry and in people and stuff like that. And like I said, I was just thinking to myself, like, if you all really know God like that, you ought to know a lie and a truth. Like something in you should be able to tell you, and you should see the sincerity of my heart that I really like. I didn't, because it's amazing because when it happened, um, it was some type of a meeting, something going on in church, and I was one of the ministers at the church, at that church. And according to, you had to be at everything. All ministers had to be at all of the programs and everything that was going on at the church. So I was there that night, and um, it was crazy because the pastor was preaching and everything, and at the end of the service, and everything, I went up to shake the pastor's hand and all this kind of stuff, and basically this dude was pretty much like, "Get away from me. You're a liar, you're dishonest, you're not truthful, you're a," and I'm just like I was crushed. Like it's kind of making me, like I can relive that like right now. And hmm, yeah, but it was just crazy. It was just really, really crazy, how, you know, it was just crazy. Anyway, uh, that it, like I say, it really, I really stepped back. But the funny thing is that it didn't take away my whatever for God. It was almost like I could see God even clearer now. Like when I would read the word, when I would, because it didn't do anything to my relationship with God except, like I say, make it stronger. It was my thing about men and man and people and stuff like that, the hurt was so strong. And then, like I say, when I met um, my last husband, um, or I'm just gonna say my ex, when I met him, the stuff that he was saying and everything and making me question and all that, and then that toppled with the hurt that I had experienced, it was kind of like maybe like a little door that opened up to make me question. Because like I say though, at first I was hard nosed, like I was really hard nosed, but through that process he got a little breakthrough, you know, with some of the videos and all of this and the question. I mean, because he was kind of relentless, just like almost like I'm gonna say like he was almost like on an assignment to get me off my faith. I mean, he really was like he was like on a mission, like he was sent or something, you know. And I kind of wonder about that actually today. Uh, but anyway, um, ooh, I'm almost at 30 minutes already. Okay, so um, I got into after that. The first thing that this dude, we had left Houston and all that kind of stuff, and we had went around to some other different places, North Carolina, Tennessee, just just a whole bunch of other places and everything. He was military, so he was used to all that traveling and stuff like that. And so we finally landed here where we are, or where I am, and he got into this Hebrew Israelite thing. Didn't know nothing about it, never heard of it, no nothing, 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 nothing. Actually, oh Lord, now I gotta tell this. Dude got us hooked up with a cult. I forgot about that. I really wasn't even trying to go into that, but since I'm telling it, I might as well tell it. But um, he would listen to this pastor. I'm not going to give any details or anything about it, but he would be listening to this pastor online, like he'd be listening at the computer, and he would turn it up real, real loud. Um, and remember I was just I would be laying there. I was laying on the couch this day, just reading. I was reading a book or reading something, and he was doing that, and something caught my ear that the guy was saying, because he was preaching scriptures, like he was reading from the Bible and everything. And I knew he wasn't all that like real religious and all that stuff. And so I'm like, I remember I asked him, "What are you listening to?" And he said, "Oh, just this guy that I found. I'll be listening to him, his ministry, whatever." Um, and so long story short, that kind of led us down to this guy, listening to this guy who was, as I said, he was a what they called a Hebrew Israelite. Um, and that's all I'm gonna really say about him. But at the end of the day, it is a cult. It was a cult, a whole straight, active, full-fledged people on his property, people on his land, structured community, long dress, head wrap wearing cult, straight cult. And that's it for that. Because I'm not even gonna, and they are still active. And so from that, then he got into it was still Hebrew Israelites, but then he kind of led us to because I was kind of in this whole thing of following the husband thing. So then he started listening to these the guys that scream at you on the corner with the long robes and superhero outfits that they would wear, yelling at folks on the corner with their Bibles, demons. He got into them, and we found some here. And all I can really say about that, we met a family here who was into that. I can't remember. It seemed like they might have had a child or two or something, but it was, a husband and a wife. And the thing I remember about the wife, it's funny about the wife because I never met this lady before, but when I saw her, I mean, like, seriously, when I first saw her, she looked familiar to me. Like, she really looked like I knew her before or somewhere. But it couldn't have been because, I never lived in this state, and she never had been to Texas or anything like that. But it's just like, her face was so familiar to me. It's crazy. But, um, we didn't fellowship with him long or whatever. My ex he really wasn't into that. I don't know really what he was trying to do. I don't know really what he was trying to do with getting us hooked up with that. I don't know. Um, but yeah. But the wife, she was very mean. She was very stern. She was very, like with me, like I wasn't doing no head wrapping and I wasn't wearing long, extra long skirts and all that kind of stuff. And I wasn't doing that. Because to me, like I'm still, like that just wasn't me. Like I'm still like Christian in my heart, which, I think they say they're Christians, but like I wasn't into that. They were that religion is very, very Old Testament. It's very, very ritualistic. It's very, very fringes and long skirts and put the woman out the house when she on a period and all kind of. It's a real crazy religion. Um, but yeah, because she would like really, really get on me because this woman was like wanting to make me clothes. Like she wanted to like make me a bunch of skirts and clothes and stuff like that with fringes on them and stuff. And because I forgot what it was, but it's something about fringes that you're supposed to have them on or something like that. And I remember she had this long talk with me over the phone about why. Well, how come? Well, why haven't you did it yet? And well, I could do it. I can make it, but you really need to, you really, if you're gonna do this, you really need to, get into it. You need to follow your husband. I mean, she was just like, man, it was crazy because even after like we kind of stopped talking to them or whatever, stopped going over because we used to have Sabbath with them and the whole thing, and we'd go over and they would cook or we would bring something or whatever. We'd all have this Sabbath thing together after fasting. Um, and yeah, I wasn't wearing fringes and long, and she would just really just be so adamant about it, like I wasn't a woman of God or whatever, and that's what she would say. Because I remember when we kind of like broke free from them because it was really my ex who, like he was just like, I'm just tired of that dude. I'm sick of that dude, I don't feel like talking to them, whatever. Um, and I remember this woman wrote me a long letter, emailed me after that, after we didn't go for like a couple of weekends or whatever. And this woman wrote me a long, 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 long email, and she was it was crazy. It was crazy. All right. So then after that, we met. My ex met with him being a soldier. He was actually a ranger, military army ranger, and he would go to the VA. And so he met another guy from military there, an older man, long dreadlocks and the whole thing. Very, very, very sweet guy. This man was Christo Rastafarian, if there is such a thing. Um, he was from Jamaica. His wife was from the Virgin Islands. I really didn't meet her too many times. I think maybe once or twice. And, me and her talked on the phone and things like that. Sweet lady. But she was straight Christian. Like she went to church every Sunday. She wasn't into Rastafari or anything like that. And he would go with her. But he was a Rasta. And so um, he started talking about that, when he talked to my ex and everything about some of it and everything. And it was really just kind of him and my ex, I wasn't really in it or privy to it or anything like that because there were really no women. It was just like him uh, and this other guy named Lance. This guy was named Lance. I forgot where he was from. I cannot remember, but it was somewhere over in the islands. He was an older man, and he actually had a Caribbean restaurant here. Oh my God, the best food! Oh my God, oxtails and rice and beans and plantains. And oh my God, that man could cook. It was, oh my God, it was so good. He had a whole Caribbean restaurant. Yeah. Oh, but it's funny because he was getting ready to retire. He was getting ready to retire. Uh, and Anyway, I'm not gonna get into that because he had a whole story about like he was basically kind of exiled from his country because of some type of uprising or something that happened back in like the 70s or something. You know, he was a much older man. And this man had the most beautiful dreadlocks. This man's locks went down to his ankles. That's how far his locks went, all the way down to his ankles. But anyway, um, that that way of life was a lot more easy. It was a lot more comforting. I learned so much. Oh my God. I learned so much because I actually went on my own journey. Um, I went on my own journey learning about Rastafari because, first of all, that's just the kind of person I am. If I'm interested in something or whatever, I will take the time to actually uh, get into it, dig into it, learn about it, everything about it, you know. And I did, and I learned from the groundation, as they call it, from the foundations. I learned and I studied for a lot of years. And I still have great respect for the Rastafari way of life. I always say in my, I always say I'm Rasta for life, because, and I'm not trying to, turn anybody that way, but it's just really a really true, beautiful way of life. It really, really is. Once you truly understand it. Um, anyway, let me go on with that. So after that, um, I got into because by now I'm separated by now and everything, and I still, like I said, I still held on, to Rastafari and to Rastafari teachings and people and things like that. Um, and but I then, well, here's the thing. Getting into Rastafari, I actually met a person online. Um, he's older too. Um, and this wasn't really like no romantic kind of thing or anything like that, really. I don't even know how he became my friend or got on my page, my Facebook page or anything like that. But he's actually in Zimbabwe. And oh my God, I just met this guy, and I still talk to him. Well, I don't really talk to him as much, but he did just message me like for my birthday and everything. We kind of just say hi, whatever, because over there the internet is like not good and everything. So like a lot of times he don't have internet connection and stuff like that. But when he does, he'll get on and say hi and things like that, and we'll talk a little bit. But this guy, when we, were really talking a lot, is so incredibly smart. So incredible. He taught me so much. He taught me the self side of Rastafari. He taught me a lot about going within and understanding from like the aspect of nature and creation and the world and just um and from the inside, which led me into um a little bit of Buddhism. um because in a way it's kind of connected, because Buddhism is about self and nature and life and creation and the universe and all of that. And it was just a whole, it was really like a natural flow. And I'm gonna stop right there only for a second because I want to say, people will probably say, because I've heard people say, especially Christians can be very harsh, very closed-minded, very rigid. I know, believe me. That I'm confused. Like, how could you be all of this stuff? And and you ought to be confused. I'm really not. I'm really not confused because each one of those pathways brought me to another and a deeper understanding of who God is to me and who I am to God and who I am on the inside. And it taught me about understanding that the answers of life and everything are really truly inside of me. Um, Helped me to trust myself. You know what I'm saying? It helped me to learn how to go within and, from the Buddhism, learning that, learning how to meditate. Oh my God, I learned how to meditate. Um, it taught me how to be still and how to be quiet and how to hear. That's what it taught me because I would always, get things, feel things, hear things in my spirit, but like once I understood about me and self and being one with God and one with the universe and all, I mean, it just, man, it just opened up a whole nother world. Um, and I hear so much better. I hear so much better. So anyway, from that, and I'm not even really saying from that because I haven't really moved from Rasta to Buddhism, back to, having, a different, going kind of back to my roots. I haven't gone anywhere from that because I still have Rastafari in my heart. I still have Buddhism in my heart. I still, I just carry it, and it has helped me to understand more and understand better. And it's nothing confusing about it. It really has to do with how you take it in and absorb it all. I mean, it really does. Can you move with all of it? Can you understand it from that type of a level? So, um, getting to where I am today, um, I was going through so much with my daughter. After the separation and everything, we really went through some trying times. I'm gonna say my daughter really went through more because it was kind of like with me, it was a breakup. It was we were in a very long-term relationship, marriage. And um, it was good for the most part. It really, really was. It didn't get bad until the end when it got bad. I mean, seriously, that's how it was. Of course, there's things you see in hindsight, but I said all that to say I really think it hit my daughter deeper. And I really think that is all what led up to her going the way that she did and rebelling and all that kind of stuff because, he had been her stepdad, not her real dad. He had been her stepdad from what, 1, 2 years old, or maybe I'm gonna say 2, 3 years old. Uh, and then now here she is, preteen, early teen, Um, and so I went through all of that. My goodness, I went through, and I'm saying I went through because I'm believing God that the worst is over. But man, I'm gonna say for 4 years. 4 years I've been doing that, going through that. My daughter, I'm not even going to get into everything, but almost everything rebellious, probably imaginable, that a child could get into, go into, staying out late, drinking, drugs. I mean, the whole, all of it. She did it. She did it. And this is um, coming from a little girl who was very innocent, very green, you know. I didn't, I wasn't trying to make her green. I wasn't trying to make her, like that way. But just the lifestyle that I live and, that she has been surrounded around, like she wasn't in no street life. Like she didn't know gang stuff. She didn't know any of that, you know. Um, but yeah. Um, so when my, I guess maybe coming back around to my Christian roots, how that came about was, man, I had done so much. I had tried so much. I had called so many people. I had looked for help. I sought help. I stayed up all night crying. I would stay up all night crying and then got to get up and go to work because I had to pay the bills and not know where my daughter was. Just hadn't heard from her. Didn't know where she was. Didn't know who she was with. You know, scared, scared, and crying out. I was, man, I just, it was, man, it was just a long journey. I mean, so many police officers, so many times I would have to call the police and everything. I mean, so much so that I began to know cops. I knew them. They knew me. I knew some of the cops by their voice. That's how often I was having interactions with police officers and things like that. And pre-COVID, I was in court every month with my daughter. Something with my daughter. I was in court every single month, from truancy to some type of something stupid she did, to some joyride, to some something. And I had social workers in my life. I had social workers investigating me. I had people coming, looking, inspecting my home. Oh, well, what kind of drugs do you take? Do you on any kind of, I'm just, and that would piss me off so bad. But I get it. I understand the fact that a lot of times that when children just go just straight buck wild like that, it is some drug use. It is with the parents. It is something with the parents. It is some kind of neglect, some type of something like that. And they didn't find anything because it wasn't like that. I'm not sitting up here trying to brag and say I was no perfect parent at all, but I was not the reason that my daughter was out there in whatever she was in. My daughter was seeking. My daughter was, after being bullied a whole lot, because I skipped the whole. We had homeschooled her, for quite a while. Well, about 3 years. And so then when she went back to public school, she was different. Like she didn't know the kids. Like we weren't from here. We weren't from the area, whatever. And she started out going to public school in middle school because she went a little bit, like first, second grade or whatever. Then we took her out. He and I decided to homeschool her or whatever. We took her out, and so then we did that. And after the separation, it was her decision really that she wanted to go to school. And I think is that she wanted some connection, because once again, we're not from here. All of our families in Texas, and so I think she was looking for some connection and stuff. And so anyway, long story short, all of that, I started getting in my spirit. And at this time, I was more into the Buddhism. I was in the whole Namyo Renge Kyo. I was every day Namyo Renge Kyo, Namyo Renge Kyo. And it helped though. I'm not going to even lie. I'm not going to even lie. Meditating, the chanting, it It helped me. It really did. It helped. It gave me some peace, and it helped me clear my mind to where I could think and things like that. And then, but I started getting in my spirit. Um, I started getting in my spirit that I needed like church. I needed God. I needed the Bible. I needed the word. And at this time, like I hadn't read the Bible in a long time. Like I didn't even have a Bible in my house, you know, because in some of that hurt from that first thing that I was telling you all about from the church, and then from like my ex, questioning my faith and making me wonder about this and how could that be and blah blah blah. Um, I'm gonna admit I had some anger. I really did. I had some anger. I had some hurt and everything that I was dealing with. Things I didn't understand, things I didn't, and then with my daughter going all crazy and things like that, I'm just like, am I being punished? Because I had Christians from everywhere. Oh, God gonna punish you. You step down from ministry, and how could you give up on God and the whole thing? And it was hard to explain my journey. It was hard to explain to them that I haven't given up on God. Like honestly, like I said, I got closer to God because I didn't have no preacher. I didn't have nobody, you know, teaching me the Bible and trying to tell me this and whatever. It was just me and God alone with my Bible, studying, meditating, all that. And that's what I did. So people coming at me talking about, how I gave up on God and, because I stepped down from ministry and everything, and I'm purged and all that, Um, and Christians should not tell people that. They really shouldn't, because God Himself, however you believe it, does not look at someone who is His and is His as you just done, you over with, you finished. He looks at them as a lost sheep. He looks at them as the prodigal son. He looks at them as you just lost your way. And he's always there to bring you back. He's always there with loving, open arms to accept you back. He always, you know? And I'm gonna tell you why uh in a minute. But Um, I got those messages, that feeling, that all of that in my spirit, at least a year before I really gave into it. I just kept on like, man, I need God. I need to, like I need to, it was just nagging in me. And by then, like I had been gone a while. And like, I think I'm just going to be honest. I think it was some shame. I think I was a little shame to kind of go back to God and go back to church and go back to Christ and go back to, because I had questioned. I had mocked the word. I had mocked a lot of preachers and everything that I believed in at one time. I questioned stuff that I knew that at one time in my life I was standing on like a brick. Like I told y'all before, you couldn't move me off of that, you know. I knew that I knew that I knew, you know. And, I was shamed. I was embarrassed that I, allowed myself and someone basically to talk me out of God or whatever, and my belief and my foundation and what my family, I mean, we were Christians we were, uh, and I went through this period of really, going through the whole spiritual thing and everything. Because I mean, I'm telling you, I was into metaphysics. I was just, but I'm telling you, at the end of the day, I think all of it was just different ways for me to see, know, and recognize God. I really do, because none of it really made me lose my faith in knowing that I still had a higher power, whatever. So, with all of that going on with my daughter, and I mean, I'm telling you, you don't know unless you've experienced the fear, the fear of not knowing where your child is all night long and even into the next day, and you don't even know where to start. Like, you don't, because she used to tell me about her friends and where certain friends lived and stuff like that. But after she saw how relentless I was and how, like I would go to folks' houses, I would send the police over there, just all kinds of stuff. Then, she stopped. She stopped telling me about her friends and where she was and things like that. She was just out there. She was just out there. And I was terrified. And, that is the stuff that began to lead me back to Christ. So, I remember when I first, my first thing was it was a song. It was a song that we used to sing in the Church of Christ, and it just would not leave my spirit. And it was crazy because I hadn't heard that song in years, and it just came up in my spirit, and I was sitting there watching YouTube. And I'm like, oh my God, yeah, that song. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I'm like, I wonder, can I find that? And I found this guy, and I'm gonna tell you who this guy is. I didn't know nothing about him, never heard of him or anything before. This young man is named Hassan Green. He's on YouTube, sings all kind of gospel songs and things like that. And this song, like I say, came up in my spirit, and I was looking and searching. I'm like, I need to find that song. And I found the song, and I found people singing it, but I'm like, no, mm-mm. I got to find how they sing it in the Church of Christ, in the Baptist church. I got to find that version, that rendition of it. I got to find that. Came across that guy, Hassan Green, and he was singing the song like I remember. And it was, we'll understand it better by and by. Uh, and that song, man, just listening to him sing that song just gave me life, because that's exactly what I was going through. I'm like, I don't know. I don't understand. I don't know why I'm going through this. I don't know if I'm being punished. I don't know if I'm being like, why am I going through this like with my daughter? Did I fail? Did I do something? Did I not raise? I mean, like I did the same thing I did with my son. So like what what is it? Is it that I left the church and all of that? I'm like, I was questioning. And, basically the song is talking about, life's burdens and trials and things like that. And I can't even think of the words, all of the words right now, but life's hardships and burdens and trials and things like that, and how one day we'll all understand it better by and by, like retrospect, you'll understand it all. And from there, I just started listening to this guy and listening to his songs and listening to him sing. And that's really how it started, like my journey back. Just those songs, man, just remembering those songs, and it would bring back that feeling of hope, that feeling that I wasn't alone, because I really was doing all this on my own. Like, the few little people I know were really doing nothing but trying to find fault in me and my parenting, and telling me that I must have did something, well, you must didn't beat her enough, or I would punch her in her throat, and I'd choke her out, and I would, just all these things that, that's the advice that I was getting from people. Um, and but getting back to those songs, like those songs really helped me realize that I do have help. I do have hope. There is hope for this situation. And I just started leaning and depending on that. And, then later on, I began to listen to some songs and singing and preaching. And I think the first one I really kind of started getting into, Smokey Norval, which I know him and his songs, and stuff like that, some of the songs. But I didn't know he was no preacher. Like I didn't know he had no church and all this kind of stuff, and he all established and all this kind of stuff. And so from listening to just the gospel songs and his songs and stuff like that, like I say, led me to like his ministry and his church and his preaching and things like that. And so like by then, like I'm kind of in it, so I'm kind of back. I'm kind of in it, hadn't really fully like given myself back to God fully, but I was there, like so close there. I wasn't going nowhere else. I knew that. I wasn't going nowhere else. I was right there. Um, and so the Spirit gave me a. I'm gonna be done in a minute, y'all. I hope I'm not just rambling. Hope you all getting it. Hope you're understanding it. Hopefully you're being blessed by it, and um, y'all still with me. But the first thing that came to me, like that, where I really heard God, was God told me that, because like I said, I was still dealing with a lot of guilt of leaving and, coming back and the whole thing, and because I felt like, am I just doing this because of my daughter and because I need, um, but anyway, um, the thing I got in my spirit was that you didn't really go nowhere. You really never went anywhere because that's the guilt that I was holding. And it was that you didn't go anywhere. What happened was you were here, you went through all that you went through, you went all the way around and all the way around, and you did the Rastafari, the Buddhism, the whole all this, and you began to understand this and stand nature and self and all of this kind of stuff. And all you did was just came right back to where you were. You didn't go nowhere. You just made a circle. And when I heard that, it was like, man, it was so profound. It was so profound to me because, like I say, I was really carrying a lot of guilt that I really had left God. You know what I'm saying? Like I really got out of His graces, and I really, like I like when it would really seriously kind of was one of those things. Like, how do you take me back after I knew all that I knew, and I was raised in this, and um, I have taught people and led so many people to Christ, so many children to Christ, teenagers to Christ, you know, and then me of all people leave, you know, um, and you just accept me back and you just take me. And it's not even about taking me back because, like I'm saying, the way he brought it to me was so beautiful was that you didn't ever even leave. Like I was with you all the time. Like I was with you during and in that whole circle back to where you needed to be. Um, and I'm still right here, you know. I didn't go nowhere, still right here. And so, wrapping it up, um, it was good. It was beautiful. It was, I mean, scriptures say, he'll never leave you or forsake you. And um, it's really true. You know, um, I I'm not where I used to be in the word. Well, maybe I am because it's still there. I mean, because the stuff just be popping up, bubbling up like word, that some scripture. It still just does that. So I guess it's in there. You know, um, but from where I am today, um, how you used to hear the old people say in the churches, Buddha couldn't do it, Confucius couldn't do it, and Muhammad can't do it, and all of this kind of stuff, and only God, only Jesus. Um, and I'm gonna say, I'm gonna sit here and I'm gonna be real honest. I went through all that I went through, and went through all those different cycles of learning this and experiencing this and all that, and coming back to where I am, now. And I really can say, although those things helped me, uh, Rastafari, I really couldn't do it, what I needed. Um, the Buddhism and the meditation and all of that, I really couldn't do what I needed to be done. And what I needed to be done was I needed some power. I needed some power. I needed some anointing. I needed some true Holy Ghost power that I had actually seen and experienced in the churches. I needed some demon chasing, blood washed, calling on the blood of Jesus to wash and cleanse and heal and set free type power. I really did. That's what I needed, because my daughter was really, she had some demonic stuff in her. She had some demonic stuff in her, and she had some demonic stuff in her, not because she was bad, but because of what she was doing and experiencing and exposing herself to. It's like she was opening herself up to demonic forces, alcohol, drugs, and the people and stuff that she was around. My little girl was still in there. My little girl was, I mean, it was still her, but man, she had gone so far. Like my daughter was straight cussing me out. Honestly, like I was a bitch almost every week. Honestly, and like she would sometimes like come back and say she was sorry and I didn't mean to, and I don't know why, and I don't know what I was thinking and all this kind of stuff. And then it became like the further she got out there, like she wouldn't even say that no more. She wasn't sorry. She just hated me. you know yeah, it was just bad. Like I can't even get into it, man. How I mean, it was just bad. um and I remember one time, here's where some of the change began too. I remember one day I was actually sitting here, and my daughter was there at the door, and she was sloppy drunk, and she was just talking. She was just talking, 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 and just rambling off. And then she started crying, and like drunk people do. And just and I felt her hurt, like she was hurting, she was in pain, she was like, it's like it's like from whatever the mess she was talking about, all I could hear through what she was saying is the pain that I could hear down on the inside of her, basically telling me, Mama, I need help. I don't even know what she was saying, but that's what I was hearing, and I'm being honest about it. And so as she was sitting there doing that, and I'm just looking at her. And then I began to tune back in into what she was really saying, and it just didn't make no sense. Like it just didn't make no sense. And something popped in my spirit and said, "That's not your daughter. That's a demon talking to you." And I was like, "Ooh, okay." And it didn't scare me. It didn't scare me at all because you know where I had came from, where I had came from, and that church in New Orleans, and the Drites, and Sister Sheila, and the pastor that I was under, that was a demon slaying church. That was a lay your hands on, smack somebody in the top of their head, and they on the floor growling and breathing. These are the things that I saw. I saw this. I saw people screaming out. I have experienced people screaming out in church. And I mean, it's a sound. I don't know. Some of you who really know and understand, please leave a comment. Please let me know if you really understand what I'm talking about. That all that other stuff, whatever it is you believe or think or feel about what I'm saying, my testimony, whatever. Just please, if it's not uplifting, positive, and where you can, don't leave it. I want somebody to actually really understand and knows and who's been there to really seriously tell me if they know what I'm talking about. But it's a sound. It's a different kind of sound if you've ever heard a demon wail out from a person. If you've ever heard that, if you've ever truly, really seen demonic oppression and deliverance and how that person is after. I've seen it. I've been in churches. I've been in services where this has happened because that church was one. And I went to and traveled and went to other churches and so I've seen it and I've done it. I've done it. I've laid hands on people. I had um I've seen the transformation. I've been in, man, all night long, sitting up in church where, like I say, demons is hollering out and screaming out, and folks running, trying to get out of the service because they got a demon in them, and the demon can't be in there. I mean, I'm serious. I have seen some stuff. And so I say that to say, when I heard that about that ain't your daughter talking, that's a demon. It really, I'm telling you, something in me rose up. And it was like, oh, okay. All right. I know what to do. I know how to handle this. Like a demon, yeah, no, I'm not, that doesn't scare me. Like seriously, where I'm from, what I know, what I've seen, and how I know how to use the word, and how I know about the blood, and how I know about the anointing, and how I know about some demon slaying power and the power of Jesus' name. So all that really did was that lit a fire up under me. I mean, then I really seriously gave myself over. I'm like, yeah, I get it. I understand. Let's go. I'm ready. I'm ready. I got into my word. um, I got me some oil. I got me some anointing oil. I got me some, and it was some of the oil that I have and still use here with my altar, and my candles and all of that. And yes, I appropriate all of that. I use all of that. But long story short, um, to date, um, Let me just say this. I went through I had to get back to my basics. I started putting scriptures on my walls and all of that. And that's a whole testimony within itself. I have actually seen. I gotta share it. I have actually seen I had a good friend in Houston. She since died. Her name was Sheila. We used to go to church together. And she used to do it as well. We put scriptures all over our wall, just on the entrance of the house, upside the wall, up over the mantelpiece of doorways, going around anointing stuff, anointing doorknobs, anointing candles. I was all in my daughter room, anointing pillows, anointing clothes, anointing shoes. I was praying. I was binding and casting out each and every demon that may have, had the audacity to run up in my house and, try to, attach itself to my daughter. I was binding spirits of death. I was binding spirits of defeat. Yeah. And, um, long story short, we good now. But my friend in Houston, um, she had that. She had those scriptures on her wall and stuff, like right there in her door entrance. And she had a brother-in-law who, this dude was doing some crazy wicked stuff. He really was. Won't get into it. But I remember his wife was named what was that woman name? Her name was anyway, it don't matter. She had came over to visit Sheila, and I was in the house, and Sheila was like, "Oh yeah, y'all come on in, y'all come on in." And this dude went, he put one foot, I mean, like he put one foot in, like he was coming in the house, and all of a sudden he stepped back. Dude, I don't mean to be shaking my camera, but he stepped back real quick, and he was like, "What's that? Like what you doing in here?" And she was like, What you talking about?" He's like, "Come on in. What you doing?" She's like, "No, no, it's something in here." Like mm-mm. And I remember cause he had his foot like right on the doorway, and one foot still outside, and most of his body still outside. And that dude wouldn't come up in there. He would not come in that house. It's like I don't know what he felt. I don't know, but whatever it was, Sheila must have been doing some work. And those scriptures on that wall and stuff. And when he saw it, he was like, "What is all it is? What you got all that up on the wall? What is that?" And I'm telling you, it was really truly something, because he didn't see it at first. He didn't see that on her walls. He just was walking on it. Crystal. No, what's her name? Crystal. But anyway, um, she he was just like, he didn't see it. He was just walking straight into the house. And then when he finally seen it, he was like, What is that? What you got? What you got all this stuff on the wall?" And anyway, long story short, yeah, that's what happened. And so it is some power. It's some power in the word. It really, really, truly is. Um, the Bible says, "According to your faith, be it done unto you." And it really is. It is according to your faith, is according to how you believe, is according to what you know, and it is according to really the power of God that works in us, because that's how it happens. It's the power of God that works through us. Um, and my daughter right now today, we are so good right now. We are so good. I'm not saying that I'm out of the woods, but God had me to do I did a uh how do I even say this? I believe I did a bit of a ritual. Wasn't nothing bad or evil, but I did that. And with my candle, I I turned that candle around because it was symbolic of my daughter. And I turned it around and around and around because that's what I got in my spirit. And I said, God, I said, this is going to be a turnaround. I said, I want my daughter to turn completely around all the way from what she's doing, from what she knows, from just all of the mess that she's going through. She needs to make a whole complete turnaround. And between that and listening to the word and keeping myself motivated and keeping myself um, with my songs and with my worship and things like that, and believing and still meditating and all of that, just combining everything, and knowing that I'm not alone and knowing that I have help. My daughter right now is she's good. Like she's working. She's not hanging out anymore. She's not doing any of that. All those people are gone, which is what another one of my big prayers. I was like, if she won't leave them alone, then I need you to remove them, get them out, you know, uh, make them not want to be around her, whatever. And yeah, like she said, she told me and her brother, like, don't nobody even be down there no more. Like where she used to hang out. Like they don't even be down there no more. Ain't nobody down there no more. It's like it's not even fun anymore. Which is another thing I pray that take the fun, excitement, and all of that mess out of that for her. So all of that I prayed, and I've seen all of it come to pass. And um, she still got a little bit of whatever, but I believe that for the most part, it's done. It's over, and if she does go back, if she tries to go back, when she does try to do a little whatever, um, she ain't gonna have no fun with it. Like it's not gonna be like it was. She ain't gonna just be out there and I can't bring her back or whatever, you know. So yeah, we're good. We're good right now. We sit and we talk, and she shares things with me, and we're okay, and I'm not ugly, foul, horrible names anymore, and I see her doing things that um a year ago, I'll just say a year ago, she would have never like even felt bad or guilty about it, And now she's like, Mama, I did such and such. And she's like, man, I feel kind of bad about that. I shouldn't have did such and such. It's like she's thinking about what she has done, or what she did or what she does. She's very much more aware of her actions and things like that. And people trying to pull her off and get her to go back to this and go back to that or whatever. It's like she don't have a lot of interest in it anymore. It's like, and then my son talks to her and stuff like that, her brother. And lastly, I think another real big part of it is the fact that I started having like family dinners, because I really think that that was another real big part of my daughter going out there like that. Like it wasn't nobody really but me and her. I mean, it was my son, but like he's 15 years older than her, so it's not like they wasn't hanging out together and stuff. Like he grown, he doing his own thing, and it was kind of more so just me and her. And I think that, like I said before, she was going out there for connection, trying to find people to connect with, and that's what she found. That's what she ran into, and the devil's always waiting, he's always out there ready, whatever, and if you don't believe in the devil, the evil force, whatever you want to call it, is out there waiting, looking for somebody to sift and destroy, sifting them like wheat, you know. Um, and so here I am. Here I am. I'm good. I'm stronger. Uh, I'm wiser. I feel like never would have made it, right about now. I really am after everything I went through, you know. I know more. I understand. I know God wasn't mad at me. I know that, I didn't go nowhere. He explained to me that I didn't do nothing but make a circle. You know, he was still there, always there with me. And I think maybe that's why I didn't ever like really lose faith. Like I never was like, God, I hate you, get away from me, whatever. Like in everything that I went through, everything I explored, everything I whatever, God was always there with me, and I always found God in it. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's the real true beauty. I don't think um so much, even though Evangelist Sheila, at that church at that time, telling us about not exploring, not going into other religions and all that kind of stuff. Don't do that. It's gonna mess you up. It's gonna, I think she meant well. I really do. And I think if a person is not strong enough, I think if a person is not uh, ready for that, if they're not, but I was really anchored in the word. So that stuff didn't really pull me from God. You see what I'm saying? So, but I think if a person is not strong enough, then they probably shouldn't. But I don't really think there's anything that can ever really truly pull you away from God if you are ever really His. I really don't. And that's what my life has proved. Um, I'm still here. I'm still blessed. And like I say, I'm stronger. I'm wiser. I know more. I understand more. Um, he taught me how I was able to hear him and him teaching me what I needed to do to get my daughter um, where she needed to be. Because I really was, and I need to say this, I really was like getting in the way. And God began to show me that I needed to step back and I really needed to let go and I really needed to trust Him. And I'm going to tell you honestly, that was the hardest part of it all because like I'm just letting my baby go. Like that's what I'm feeling like. And it's like I know I can trust God, but if I let go, like am I really like it was just scary. Like if I truly just let go and let God, or just truly let go and just say, God, I trust you with her and trust you with her life completely and truly take my hands off of it, man, that was scary. It was so scary. Um, yeah, terrifying. But as there were times when I thought I let go and I really hadn't. There were times when God had to keep on telling me you didn't let go. You need to back off of this. You need to not go there. You need to not say this. You need to just let her be. Just let her go. And it was a process. God's love is so uh, gentle, and He didn't punish me for not letting her go quick enough. He didn't let her fall into stuff because I couldn't let go. It's like he just taught me baby steps, step by step. Okay, just don't do this right now. Or even something as simple as don't say that. Don't say that. You know. And I listened and I trust and I am here and I'm better and I have not arrived. He still got to tell me to let go. He still got to tell me that, I need to back up. He still need to tell me I don't need to say that right now. He still has to tell me, get in the word and read this and get your faith back up because I still lose it sometimes. I really do. I still get weak. I still go through moments of, but God, what if? and I gotta trust. I just gotta trust. Ooh, I hadn't talked a long time. If y'all are still here, thank you. Thank you so much. I know I probably took y'all around the world. I hope I don't get some crazy whatever telling me whatever they got to tell me. I don't want to hear it. I'm going to block you, you know. Um, but if you have a testimony, if you understand, if you, even need me to, I ain't finna start ministering and preaching and all of that kind of stuff. But I'm telling you, if you, want to drop some where you would like for me to, even help encourage you in your faith, maybe something you might be going through. Um, I'm willing, I'm able, I understand the power of two. I understand the power of, two and three being gathered. I understand agreement in prayer and things like that, and make a comment, drop a line. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Thank you for, listening to me, and I hope I helped you. I hope I encouraged you. I hope that listening to what I have to say will help and encourage you in whatever it is that you're going through. Um, just living life. Just living life at this day and age, right, can be so crazy and hard, and just, man, I really don't see how people do it without any kind of faith, anything. It behooves me, you know. Um, but thank y'all for listening. Thank you for watching. Hit the subscribe button. Until the next video, see you next time.